breaking down the walls. We're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is your gateway drug to liberty. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on a system where failure gets rewarded and you're the one that's paying for it. From taxes to schools, from war to your property, the incentives don't always line up with your interests. Three sharp political minds step in to take it on, and all three are Texans running for office with the Libertarian Party of Texas, where we will be live this Friday. So get ready, because tonight you decide who is smarter than a politician. Joining us tonight, all first-time contestants. Jeff Miller, he's a candidate for Texas State House District 14. His website is vote-miller.org. You can find him on X at RealJeffster, and you can also find him on Facebook. How are you tonight, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for having me on.
My pleasure. Tell everybody why you're running for office and how they can donate to you.
All right. So I'm running for office because somebody's got to do it, right? And I thought about it for a long time, but in 2022, I finally did. I ran for state representative, and my goal was just if I could do better than the previous libertarian candidates had in my district, you know, even if it was by one vote, that would be my goal. Well, it turns out we actually shattered that, because the previous highest percentage in my district was 19%, and I got 32%. And that was the second highest total for a state legislature candidate in Texas for a libertarian ever. So that was nice. And they can't take that away from me. You know, my first time running for office that happened. But so I decided to do it again. And then last time around, the Republicans got a little upset that libertarians did as well as we did. So they used some shenanigans to kick us off the ballot. But we reverse matrixed with some other shenanigans, and I wound up actually running for Congress instead. And the first time I ran against a six-term incumbent named John Rainey, who, after he beat me, he retired the next cycle. And then this last time when I ran for Congress, it was against Michael McCall, a longtime incumbent, and you know, never met a war he didn't like. And then he decided to retire this time around. So I said, well, this time around, who do you want me to retire this time? A lot of people said Dan Patrick, you know, some people said Abbott, but anyway, statewide races are very expensive. So I decided I'd run for state representative again. So that's what I'm doing this time. And as far as donations, right now, what I'm telling people is, for this week, we're still trying to raise money for the Libertarian Party of Texas convention. If you have money right now that's burning a hole in you, go to 2026.lbtexas.org, because there are ways to donate to us as a party right now. And I'd rather you do that than donate to me individually. But I do have a website. As you said, it's vote-miller.org. And I promise I'm going to update that website once we get done with state convention. I've just been a little bit preoccupied as part of the state convention planning committee and the staff of the actual convention. I've been focused on that. After it's over, I can get back to focusing on my personal race. But for now, I've been busy with this.
Awesome. That's great, man. Thanks for coming on. Also joining us, Anthony Tony Cristo. He is a candidate for Texas Lieutenant Governor. You can find him on X at Anthony CRI 17456. He's also on Facebook. How are you tonight, Anthony?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me, Free.
My pleasure, man. Tell everybody about your run for Lieutenant Governor.
Well, I'm running for Lieutenant Governor because I genuinely feel I'm the best candidate for the job. Right now, we have a Republican-controlled House and Senate, and they're pushing forth whatever agenda they want. And Democrats are being somewhat petulant and having little hissy fits every once in a while that are impeding the progress of legislation. Whereas as a libertarian, I won't be pushing a Republican or Democrat. I'll be doing what's best for Texas. And by doing what's best for Texas is by pointing people to different committees and balancing out. There's supposed to be 6 people on each committee. I'll have 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. That way they can hash everything out in committee before it gets to the Senate floor and start voting on it. Also, there are some other things I'd like to do as a teacher. I currently teach right now, and there are a lot of things in the Texas education system that need to be addressed, as well as also as a disabled veteran, I want to address the issue with legalizing marijuana, not only for medicinal use, but for recreational use, because I feel the revenue from that will help. Already our budget is in a surplus, but it'll help alleviate property taxes and where we get other revenue from our state coffers.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck with that. And last but not least, Austin Kelly. He is a candidate for Texas Agriculture Commissioner. You can find his website at kelly4tx.com, and you can find him on Instagram and Facebook and X, all at kelly4tx. How are you tonight, Austin?
Doing great. I really appreciate you having me.
Awesome, man. Tell everybody, what is the Agriculture Commissioner and why are you running for it?
Yeah, so the Agricultural Commissioner does a lot regarding farmers and ranchers across Texas. They also have a major role to play in biosecurity for the state, so making sure that invasive, potential very dangerous species don't come in. And that's a very important role that they play, but they've also become it's become too big of a commission, and the Texas Department of Agriculture has really overstepped its bounds. And why I wanted to run for the Texas Commissioner of Agriculture was because I want to break down some of these barriers for farmers and ranchers, and I want people to be able to grow what they want on their own property and be able to sell it directly to whoever they want in the state. We need to open up the barriers and let farmers and ranchers do what's best for them. And I don't think that our current incumbent actually is getting voted out, but he lost in his primary. But the new guy that they have replacing him is just pro-government, very strong, right-leaning Republican. But he's going to do the same thing. He's just going to keep adding power to the Department of Agriculture. But we really have to get more freedom into this area, and so that's why I'm running.
Awesome, man. Good luck with that. And also joining us, our lovely producer, Terry Batts. How are you tonight, Terry?
I'm doing great. I think things are looking up for Texas. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but sounds good to me. A lot of great stuff going on out there. Looking forward to it. Let's go chat.
Awesome. And our Tuesday night show is brought to you by Zoom. If you believe adults should be free to explore their own consciousness and you're looking for a modern, precision-dosed psychedelic experience, check out zoomtrip.com. That's XUM trip.com and see what they're building over there. And we appreciate them sponsoring us. And like I mentioned, this Friday, we will be at the Texas Libertarian Party convention, April 10th through 12th, and then the following weekend in Colorado. And then we will be wrapping up the convention tour May 21st through 25th at the National Convention in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And thank you to all of our subscribers. And is that the right one? That's the right one. Oh, I don't know what I did. I think I uploaded the wrong one, whatever I did. But we also had a new subscriber today. And where did I put it, though? I'll find it. But if you want to subscribe to us on X, this is your backstage pass. And, our new subscriber was Jonathan Miller. I'll put his thing up. And if you want to sponsor us, email studio@freedomuncut.com. And one other thing, if it's still here, we will be at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas. This is the Super Bowl of the freedom movement. If you're not there, you should be. That is July 8th through 11th. And our friends at You Are the Power have their own area. And we will be on their stage on Friday night doing the show live. And when you go to freedomfest.com to book tickets, use the discount code SPIKE100. I talked to Spike Cohen the other day, and he said thank you to everybody that's already booked using that. And he appreciates everybody supporting You Are the Power. So that's awesome. And all right, let's jump into it here. Let's do the chat first. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Speaking of Texas, I knew he wasn't far away. The great Ryan Woodcraft of the historic victory in El Paso, Texas. Let's go. LP Texas is going to bring the heat. Absolutely. Travis is here. Check out his podcast. He says, in before Israel breaks the ceasefire. Well, I mean, it's been a ceasefire for 20 minutes, so we might have missed that. But Chris is here. What's up, Chris? Brandon's here. What's up? Woohoo. Glad to see me, Terry, contestants, and chat. Awesome. Anarchist Chef's here. What's up? Kay's here. What's up, Kay? Dan's here. How are you, Dan? Patty Boots is here. I'm third highest until company leaves. Is that a drug thing? I don't even know. Gennaro is here. Welcome. Kathy's here. What's up? Rooting for Anthony. I see it. Waz is here. What's up, Waz? Check out Waz's podcast as well. 200 to Anthony if he packs the system with libertarians. 200 to Austin for having the most Texan name. 200 to Austin for driving while playing the game. 100 to Austin for wanting farmers to have the right to direct sell. I love it. And Casey's here. Great freeze already lost. Yeah, I've been lost since we started the show 89 episodes ago. That's nothing new. All right, let's jump into it. Please share this out. Help bust the algorithm. Ever since I started talking shit about the war, we've been stepped on. So any help we can get would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me. I'm at Smarter Game Show on X. Terry is at BatsT76. Helping behind the scenes, as always, is at Amity Lee 13. And Casey, who is now in Texas, ready for the convention. He's at American versus Gov. We will see him this week, and I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. Our merch is available at freedomsuperstore.com. We've got shirts. We've got mugs. I'm wearing the Make Anarchy Great Again shirt. So, okay. So since Trump ruined peace prizes, we made our own, and that is the grand prize. It is the Are You Smarter Than a Peace Prize? Also on the prize shelf is Mike Johnson's signature cologne, Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead Teddy Bear. We also have the home edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician? A bunch of libertarian bobbleheads, as well as the board game Neoconopoly. It might be a ceasefire for a minute, but teach your kids about war. We also have the TSA agent training kit. If you've been through TSA lately, it is a nightmare. It's got everything you need, the honorary community college diploma, as well as the grope practice groin replica. And who needs a piggy bank when you have a central bank? You can destroy your own dollars at home with the dollar destroyer. And of course, we have the Trump nativity set because nobody wants to take this piece of crap off my hands. I mean, it's already April. And we have the killdozer because nobody talks about the killdozer more than me and Casey do. Rules are, I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. The rules are, you can debate each other one time. You have one filibuster. You can veto an answer, tariff an answer, redistribute an answer. And I couldn't say redistribute last week, so this is a bonus for me. And everybody starts off with negative 500 points because the government gets paid first. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score. You can give or take up to 100 points from the contestants. And because I am the government and I believe in crony capitalism, subscribers can give or take up to 200 points because they pay me, so they matter more. Nuking a score. Any former contestant can nuke a score, taking it down by 1,000 points. The twist is a contestant can only be nuked one time, and it has to be for a good reason. All right. I will put Terry in the back. She controls the score in the chat, make her life extremely difficult. This is the lightning round. First question goes to Jeff. Category is, what incentives drive government decisions? The question is, Jeff, do politicians respond more to donors than to voters?
Duh. Yeah, what drives it is how they can, not only for their own personal profit, but also it's really mostly about maintaining their own power. So decisions are made to grow their power and maintain it in whatever way possible.
Totally agree. Tony, to you, is re-election the primary driver of most policy decisions?
I really don't think so. I really think that re-election is just to maintain power that they have, not necessarily to enforce a specific policy that they have, but going back to the previous question, something their campaign donors probably wanted.
That's fair too. All right, Austin, to you, would fewer incentives for re-election lead to better policy outcomes?
I would say probably so, because a lot of politicians, especially toward the election cycle, they will really try to get themselves reelected, and all their policies start to go toward more power, giving more things away, trying to get people to vote for them. So yes, I think that would be a helpful move to try to get people to be more conscious about what good policies are, rather than trying to get reelected.
Makes sense. Terry's in the back. Terry, I see YouTube, so I don't know if you're not seeing it, but I see YouTube in the live chat. All right, back to you, Jeff. The category is, who benefits when policies fail? The question is failure more profitable than success in politics?
Well, yeah, if it's failing to actually enact any positive change, so it's more about the image of success. But when it's failure, then you go back to your district and say, well, I tried to do the thing and the evil other side wouldn't let me. So you have to reelect me so I can go back to fight them again.
I agree. Tony, to you, are insiders insulated from the consequences of bad policy?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is a good example of that. I mean, her stock portfolio is like set a record for the most profitable since she took office. So definitely there's insider trading going on. Those people benefit from policies that failed or positive, and they're really not looking out for the people themselves. They're looking out for themselves.
I agree. Austin, to you, do voters bear the cost while decision makers avoid accountability?
Definitely. Voters bear all the costs because everything is completely funded through taxes. And so we bear all the negatives, but our politicians are hardly ever held accountable. And that's a major problem.
Totally agree. All right, Jeff, to you, the category is rewarding failure versus rewarding results. Do bailouts reward poor decision making?
Sure. And I'll just take this opportunity to say that I'm against all bailouts. You know, you should succeed or fail on your own merits, and we shouldn't play favorites. The whole point of government, as we know, is to protect rights, not to play favorites and give anybody any advantage. So that isn't what they should be doing at all.
I agree. All right, Tony, to you. Do successful private solutions get replaced instead of expanded?
Oh yeah, well, most definitely because there's a lot of successful private industries that we've seen in other countries, like with air traffic controlling. It's been privatized in other countries, but we're still using these little sheets of paper to say what flight's going from one area to the other. That's been going on for over 60 years, and they say there's nothing wrong with the system. Why change it? And it's like, well, because there's something so much better and so much more efficient. So yeah, definitely need to have some more innovation going on in there.
I agree. All right, Austin, to you. Are we incentivizing dependence over independence?
Definitely. Yeah, this relates to agriculture, farm bill, food stamps. We definitely support those those policies, or politicians tend to support those policies that really can get them the most votes. So if they're going to give things away to voters, and push all these incentives for them to stay in office and be dependent on the politicians, that just keeps them in power. They're just going unchecked with more power, and every year where they just get more and more power, and we just have no way to promote innovation because people just think, well, I'll just let the government take care of me, and I'll keep voting for those people because they're doing the best job at taking care of me. And it's a big issue. We need to change that.
Definitely do. All right. Jeff, to you, the category is power concentration and self-preservation. Does government naturally grow regardless of election results?
Well, I mean, it does now because of past election results, because both major parties have been building the monster. So at this point, yeah, it's going to continue to grow until somebody takes real action to stop it, and that's going to take a while. It's not instantaneous, but if you elect enough libertarians, then we'll get to work and trying to get things reversed and in the right direction.
That would be nice. All right, Tony, to you. Is centralization driven by control rather than efficiency?
Oh yes, most definitely. It's driven by control. Efficiency is far from what centralized planning does. A good example is the Texas education system. I mean, they give these standardized tests that we took, the STAR test, and if a school district scores below a certain level, the TEA takes over, and TEA took over the Houston Independent School District and went from an F school to a super F school under their leadership. So centralized planning really is ineffective. You don't know what's going on the lower levels, and there's a lot of nuances, especially not just in districts, but in schools. Even within the district that I'm in, the difference between Wagner High School and Judson High School is also different from that goes on at Veterans Memorial High School. So really centralized planning, you can't see the whole picture from one angle. You got to see every little thing up close, and that's where centralized planning fails tremendously.
Sorry, Austin, to you. Would decentralizing authority reduce systemic failure?
Yeah, we should definitely be decentralizing all authorities that the government has. Government has always been one of the most inefficient forms of innovation, running things, even just taking money the only thing it is good at is taking money from our citizens, and getting that away from centralized power is the only way that we can actually support independence in people. Having less taxes can let them have more of their own money and make their own decisions. And that's the only way we can prosper as a society.
Totally agree. All right. Back to you, Jeff. The category is bureaucratic incentives versus public interest. The question is, do bureaucrats face real consequences for poor performance?
Of course not, because you can't vote out the bureaucrats anyway. Even people tend to vote for incumbents, so you already have that difficulty, but you can't vote them out. So yeah, and everybody, when there's a government shutdown, everybody's like, oh, the poor people that aren't getting their money. Well, a lot of times those are people that we don't need those positions in the first place. So we ought to move move away from that and not have that even be an issue.
Love it. All right, Tony, to you. Are agencies incentivized to expand their scope?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Right now, you got like TSA. I mean, we're actually proving that TSA is unnecessary. It is completely unnecessary. It should be privatized. Airports should have their own private security doing all the training and inspecting. TSA is a huge failure, but they were still trying to get more power up until the funding went out. And even then, that's not just TSA. There are other agencies that it's like TEA. God, I may harp on TEA quite a bit. They are always trying to gain more power, and there's really no incentive for them to lose that power. And it's kind of like the old saying: "It's like if you grant the government power during an emergency, they'll create an emergency so they can have more power."
That makes sense. And Austin, to you. Would simplifying regulations reduce corruption?
Yes, simplifying regulations would definitely stop that. One of the major issues in Texas recently was that the last ag commissioner, who we have successfully replaced because he got replaced in the primaries, but the last one, he had his main advisor got arrested for handing out, giving favors and taking bribes to give out hemp registrations. And then he was bailed out and got rehired. So that's just a perfect example of if there was less regulation, like why do we have regulations and rules about who can grow hemp? That should just be legalized. Everybody should be able to grow what they want. But as much as this corruption happens, it's because there's so many regulations. Everybody's committing a crime all the time without even trying to, because there's just way too many laws, and that's just so that they can perpetually keep their power in all these different agencies.
That's a crazy story, man. Wow. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Also, reshare this out. I think they're stepping on us tonight, so any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated. All right, let's check out the chat. What do we got going on here? Woodcraft says 100 to Jeff for setting the tone. Shop at lptexas.org. There we go. Minus 50 to Jeff for reminding me of the 90s with well, duh.
How is that a bad thing? The 90s were great.
Yeah. 100 to Tony for calling out insider trading. 100 to Tony for padding pockets. 100 to Austin for holding politicians accountable. 100 to Jeff for no bailouts. Minus 50 to Jeff for not having a beard. Yeah, that's a big disadvantage on this show. Should have bought one.
I shaved right before I came because I do not look good with a beard.
Well, we appreciate that, though.
Not that I look great without it, but I definitely don't look good with one.
100 to Austin for promoting innovation instead of government dependence. 100 to any candidate who vows to get in the dunk tank on Friday. Any takers? Any takers? All right, we got Tony. Tony gets the points. Austin, you looked kind of interested.
On the fence.
All right. It's only 100 points. I wouldn't dive in if you're not that interested. I lost points for starting late and muting myself. That's fair. 100 to Austin for wanting to decentralize the government. Mike Vitko's here. What's up, Mike? He just did a really great show with our buddy Phil Ryan. Hey, y'all. Sorry I'm late. 100 points to everyone, especially Terry. That's a nice play. 100 to Tony. Locally privatize airport security. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Points to Tony. Points to Jeff for being a base libertarian. Points to Austin. Legalize green everywhere. 100%. Libertarian Party of El Paso reposted the stream. I don't know if you heard us bragging, but that is going to be the home of the 2028 Libertarian Party convention. I hear it's going to be a good time. Ryan Woodcraft promised everybody that comes is going to have a phenomenal time. So you might want to just direct message him. 100 to Austin for wanting people to grow whatever they want. And 200 to Jeff for his 90s skater flop. Nice. got the 90s kind of worked out for you there. So let's check out the scoreboard, see where we're at. Ooh, it's close. All right. We've got Austin in the lead, 1,500 points. Tony, 1,400. Jeff, 1,350. Jeff, first time on the show. You're in third place. What do you think so far?
Well, I mean, obviously I was savagely attacked by our buddy Ryan Woodcraft, but just because he doesn't have taste doesn't mean that I'm going to let that spoil anything. I'm ready to, catch up in the next round, and we'll get some hype from other people as well.
Oh, you just violated the tub rule, which is never go after Woodcraft when he's in the chat. So let's see how that works out for you.
See, I go way back with Woodcraft, so I can just I can say whatever I want to him. Let's put it that way.
Well, you're doubling down, which is brave and
Yeah.
also probably a bad move. But Tony, you're in second. First time on the show. What do you think so far?
I think Ryan Woodcraft is the best person on the planet. Thumbs up to, and I don't mind being in the dunk tank. Actually, I'm very surprised that I'm in second place. I am a bit nervous, I'll be honest. Had a long day at work, but this is fun. This is really a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying myself here.
That's awesome. And kissing up to Woodcraft, a way better strategy. I'm just throwing that out there. Austin, first time on the show. You're in first place. What do you think so far?
I think the chat is doing an incredible job. They know what they're talking about. They're voting correctly. But I'm really enjoying the questions so far. I think it's really important to have these discussions. So thanks for doing this.
That's awesome. So, Jeff, just for the record, if you're keeping score yourself, that's how you do it. Just do what those guys did.
Yeah. I should get points for not sucking up to the chat, actually. So since I was the only one that didn't.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll see how that works out. Sometimes that does backfire. So that is a decent point. All right, let's jump back into it. Back to you, Jeff. Oh, and this category is sponsored by our friends at Zoom, Beyond Shrooms. That's zoomtrip.com, XUMTRIP.com. The category is criminalization of victimless behavior. The question is, should adults be punished for nonviolent choices, Jeff?
I was going to say only Ryan Woodcraft, but then I thought, no, his words actually are like violence to me, so that would count as a violent crime. But no, of course not. Adults should be able to do what they want if it doesn't harm other people. We've got way too many things where the government thinks that they should tell everybody how to run their lives. Obviously, they shouldn't. We need to repeal those laws. I'm talking to you, Dan Patrick.
I like it. Calling out Dan Patrick, that should work out well for you. Tony, to you, do these laws generate revenue more than safety?
Yes, definitely victimless crimes. It's more of a revenue generator than it is actual protection. Seatbelt laws, again, going back to myself as a teacher, if seatbelts are so valuable, how come they're not required to be worn on school buses? Makes you wonder right then and there. Same thing, with other victimless crimes, such as legalizing marijuana. I mean, if it's the only person you're harming is yourself, if you consider that harm, then so be it. I mean, there's states like New York that try to limit people from having 32-ounce sodas or larger. I mean, I'm 55 years old. If I want a bacon double cheeseburger, chili cheese fries, and wash it down with a 64-ounce soda, I should be allowed to do it. It's a free country. And it's bad for my health, but the only person I'm harming is myself. So why bother?
The only part I didn't like is that you think that this is a free country, but the rest was based. The rest was based. All right, Austin, to you. Would decriminalization reduce system strain?
Definitely. Decriminalization would definitely stop wasting our resources. We waste so many taxes and resources on crimes that just affect nobody. The only people they affect are the lives they're ruining, which these are people that just wanted to do something for themselves oftentimes. Like if they're trying to go smoke marijuana, that's completely their prerogative. If they enjoy that, that's up to them. And people should not be criminalized for that. And then their lives get ruined for doing something they just wanted to enjoy and help enjoy their own life that the government has already made miserable in many aspects. So those taxes that these criminals, quote unquote criminals, that they are these taxes are getting used on them, and then they are not able to contribute taxes either. So it's like a double strain, and decriminalization should happen across the board, and we should have much fewer crimes and laws than we have now.
Totally agree. Well said. All right, Jeff, back to you. The category is hemp and cannabis regulatory incentives. Are hemp bans driven by competition concerns?
Let's think about this. Okay, what is the actual most abused drug and is responsible for the most accidents, deaths, and pretty much anything else you can think of? Well, that would be alcohol, which is perfectly legal if you're an adult. I wonder if the alcohol industry wants that to continue and wants for all of its competition to be outlawed. Wouldn't that be weird if that was the case? I don't know. Let's think about that. But yeah, I would like, to piggyback on what Austin said. I like for all these politicians, we have veterans that are in pain and have things like seizures and things from injuries. And if they find something like, say, cannabis oil that helps with that, and we have these politicians, I want them to look those people right in the face and tell them, no, I know better than you. You can't have that because I say so. Because that, I don't think they would have the guts to do that if they had to do it to their face.
Totally agree. And since Zoom is our sponsor, I have to point out psilocybin too for PTSD. 100% agree with you. Tony, to you, should cannabis be treated like alcohol?
Well, that's a tricky question, but because alcohol, basically, cannabis just needs to be allowed, period. For adults, I will specify for adults. I don't encourage anyone who's a minor to engage in any type of illegal activity or any type of mind-altering substances. However, the thing is with cannabis and basically any recreational drug is that these laws that are banning it, they're preventing people that actually have the medical addictions from getting the help. And it's been proven in Portugal. We have over 20 years of data in Portugal when they decriminalized everything. And they started, you saw violent crime go down. You saw overdoses go down. The only thing you saw go up was people seeking help. And, it's whenever an alcoholic goes to get help, it's like, hey, good job, way to go. I'm glad you're getting help. But when someone who's using a recreational drug goes to get help, they're like, okay, where are you getting it from? Who's your supplier? That stuff's illegal, right? You can go to jail for even using that. So there's no incentive for them to go get help. So if anything, treating it like alcohol, it's kind of a weird thing to say yes or no, because alcohol has its own little special thing, as Jeff pointed out. But overall, ultimately, cannabis just should be legalized for consenting adults who wish to partake.
Well said. All right, Austin, to you. Do current laws create more harm than they prevent? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I would say current laws do create a lot of harm, more than they actually prevent, especially things like traffic laws and regulatory laws regarding farming and ranching as well. But traffic laws is a good example where the cops are out there and stopping people that are driving relatively safe. Like, people can drive very safely and be going over a specified speed limit. And laws like that, it just makes everything more dangerous. The cops will do dangerous things. Many cops are, as many times have proven, that cops can be biased towards certain races or certain people, and that is harmful. Like, for them to stop these people and be afraid of the person that they're stopping can be very harmful and cause a lot of problems. And just the act of them stopping us and taxing us for all the tickets they write, it's just another form of taxation. And it should be repealed, and there should be a lot less laws like this, because they are causing a lot more harm than they prevent.
Definitely. All right, Jeff, back to you. The category is taxation and revenue incentives. Does government benefit when costs go up for citizens?
Absolutely. And I remember a story recently about somebody who actually that there were actually things written into the laws for the tariffs, that if the tariffs got overturned, that there were certain people who profited off of that. So there's not only profit incentives there's built in, there's profit on top of profit, where if something fails, then somebody profits. So it's a huge behemoth, a monster, as I said earlier, and we just need to chop it down.
Definitely. All right, Tony, to you. Are tax systems designed to be intentionally complex?
Oh yes, most definitely. If we all agree that taxation is theft. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But from a practical standpoint, it's not going to be changing anytime soon, as much as we would like it to be. But yes, the tax codes are definitely very well complicated, because it allows people that can afford it to get the finagling to go around the system, which more power to them. I mean, I wish I had the ability to be able to figure out what tax shelters and everything I can put my money in, so that way it's not touched. But yeah, I mean, it definitely benefits people that can afford it. And like I said, good for them. If they can hide their money from the government and not get it taxed, let them do it. But as far as a regular person, they'll get them on purposely trip them up so that they can get them on penalties, on tax fees, late fees, everything else. So really, it's designed to be complex to actually for the benefit of those that can afford a good accountant, and be more harmful to the people that aren't making the money that can afford a good accountant.
Definitely. All right, Austin, to you. Do higher revenues reduce the incentive to cut spending?
Definitely. Yeah. So a major problem with the way the government works now is you can always increase the taxes, but they never decrease their spending. And politicians elected on Republicans and Democrats side don't know how to work with a budget. But every single person has to have their own budget. Like private citizens always work within a budget, or they go bankrupt, or like a business doesn't stay in business if it doesn't know how to budget its money. But one of the major problems with the government is they can just increase how much is coming in, because why wouldn't they? Why would they cut spending when they can just ask for more? And they have the monopoly on force, so they can take as much as they want, and they do that every single election cycle. That's why we need some more libertarians in there to try to stop that a little bit. Just even to just keep it as it is would be such a benefit. To not raise taxes would just be such a change. But hopefully that happens in the near future.
Totally. All right, Jeff, back to you. Categories: property taxes and perpetual rent. Should people lose their homes over unpaid taxes?
Okay, so I'm going to go buy a cheeseburger, and then when I get it home, first I pay tax on it when I bought it. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to eat it, and then I'm going to pay the disposal tax to get rid of the paper that the cheeseburger was in, and I throw it in the trash. Then I have to take that trash out and pay the waste disposal fee to take that trash out. I mean, this is exactly how the government works. They tax upon tax upon tax. So you buy a home, the tax you pay when you buy it, that should be the end of it. Why do you have to continually pay taxes on what you already own? It doesn't make any sense. So we need to end that, and stop just being servants for those that want to just keep extorting money from us. So no, you don't lose your home. You bought your home, it's your home. Nobody should take it away from you.
Well said. Now I'm hungry. So good answer. Tony, to you. Do rising property values unfairly increase tax burdens?
Yes, most definitely. We've seen with the gentrification of certain poor areas of Austin, where they start building these luxury apartment buildings, and all of a sudden people who've been there for 5-6 generations, they can't afford the property tax because their property values have gone up, inflated. And And property taxes really should not be an issue at all in Texas. We have a $34 billion budget surplus. So right now, there's no reason why schools should be unfunded and why property taxes need to be as high as they are. Because most of our sales tax revenue is what funds our budget, sales taxes. Like you mentioned, purchasing the burger, you get your sales tax. You get your sales tax, on the disposal. It gets sales tax. Get the tax on having it picked up, having the landfill tax. All these other little taxes. All these other little taxes more than make up for anything that property taxes do. So really, you paid for your property, you bought your house, you should be keeping it. You're not renting it from the government. It should be yours and yours to keep.
Totally agree. And you left out the flush tax, but I'll allow it.
Yeah.
All right, Austin, to you. Are local governments incentivized to raise assessments?
Yeah, I would say local governments are incentivized to raise the assessments. And personally, I just don't know how often that happens, but I assume it happens very often, especially in city places. Like Tony mentioned, that's definitely a problem. I would say that's an extreme problem for rural communities, especially farmers and ranchers that are trying to get bought out by these AI data centers that are coming up across the state. There's a lot of people that no matter what amount of money their principals tell them, they do not want to sell to these people. And that should be completely respected. People should not be forced out of their property just because it is the government claims that it's a community need that we need these AI data centers. But people are being forced out of their homes because even though they have owned the property for generations, they just can't afford the taxes anymore. And so, of course, local governments would be happy to make sure that that tax rate keeps going up so that they can get more taxes from these properties.
Totally agree. And a good segue for the next category, which is eminent domain and forced transfers. Jeff, to you, the question is, should government take private land for economic development?
Make that shorter to say, should government? No. I mean, this goes back to what I said before. You buy something, you buy a home, you buy land. There's no should someone take it. If you choose to give it to someone or you choose to sell it to someone, that's your business. But how can we sit here and actually say that it makes any sense that some group of people should just go, no, we've decided we just are going to use your land in a different way because we say so. Yeah, all that stuff you signed about owning it, that's meaningless. We're just going to take it. I mean, come on. I thought this was America.
I love it. Excellent. All right, Tony, to you. Are public use definitions too broad?
I would definitely say yes. They're way too broad. A good example was the $2 million toilet they built up in New York City. $2 million for a toilet that basically cost more than some of the houses in the area. And it's because it took 7 years for them on committees and everything else to decide, and all these other different programs had to get vetted, and they refer to them as comfort stations, not toilets or restrooms. So yeah, public use is very subjective, and with all the bureaucracy that goes on, all the red tape, it just inflates things and makes things worse. So to piggyback on Jeff, whenever you say government, should government, the answer should always be no, because the government needs to keep out and just let people decide for themselves, let the private sector decide for themselves what's important and what needs to be done.
Totally agree. All right, Austin, to you. Do developers benefit more than communities in land seizures?
Definitely. And I would even go a step further. Developers aren't the only ones that benefit, but the politicians benefit, because that means more taxes are coming in. Because the more development happens and the more the government allows for incentives for the development to happen, that means more taxes are coming in. So it's a win-win on the politician side, but it's a lose-lose for citizens and private landowners. And it's just such a messed up system. And We need to try to stop as much as we can and just allow people to do what they want with their own property.
Definitely. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Please share this out again. We've got a bunch of people watching this. Let's get more. All right. Let's jump in the chat. Oh, the chat's hopping. Here we go. Anarchist Chef says 200 to everybody because he spaced out. That's fair. 50 pity points to Jeff for being attacked by woodcraft. That's very nice. This is too much. We can't let this get to Ryan's head. Minus 100 to everyone. I feel like that was counterproductive, Casey. 200 to Austin for kissing up to the chat, but also minus 100 to Austin for kissing up to the chat. But you got 100 out of it. 100 to Austin for hiding in a truck. There we go. 200 to Jeff, no victim, no crime. 100 to Jeff for making fun of Ryan Woodcraft. I'd like to double that, Terry. Could you put me down for a double on that? 50 to Anthony for wanting to get dunked at the convention. 200 to Jeff, no apologies. 200 to Tony, welcome. 100 to Tony, anti-seatbelts. Let's not make this about me, but 100 to everyone who did. Oh, I love it. 50 to a fellow teacher, Anthony, and for wanting freedom of food choice. 200 to Tony for wanting people to be able to clog their arteries with junk food if they want to. Amity, I would like to clog my arteries for dinner tomorrow night, if that's okay. 200 to Austin for not wanting the government to ruin lives with drug laws. 50 to Austin for being okay with others' choice to smoke plants. Minus 50 to Jeff for rubbing his non-existent beard while answering. 200 to Jeff for acknowledging the alcohol lobbies are behind the hemp bans. 200 to Jeff, vets need THC. 200 to Tony, cannabis should just be allowed. 100 to Jeff for forcing politicians to say it to my face. 200 to Tony, cannabis should just be allowed, period. 50 for Jeff's knowledge of hemp oil. 200 to Jeff for challenging politicians. Tony's better than Dan Patrick. Vote Tony. 100 to Tony. 100 to Tony. Get rid of the damn seatbelt beeps in my car. Oh my God, I would love that. 100 to Jeff. Weed drinks are dropping sales of beer sales at bars. So of course the industry hates it, but they're selling them everywhere. So, wherever the profit is, right? Minus 13 to Austin for the mute. Yeah, I saw that coming. 0 to Tony. Neither should be regulated. 50 to Anthony for wanting cannabis legal for all adults. Points to Austin for police biases. Terry's smile is brighter than a wet trampoline. That is good to know, Patty. Thank you. Points to Austin, repeal taxation. Points to Austin, I hope he wins so I can find an apartment. 200 for the first to say taxation is theft.
Citation stuff.
Oh, there we got it. Oh, damn it. Patty's in my phone. I might have to throw it out the window. Minus 100 to Casey for driving to Texas from Utah 3 days early and whining about gas prices. That's totally fair. 200 to Tony for being the first contestant to say taxation is theft. Tony's a teacher and taking us all to class. Points to Tony. Points to Jeff for his profit sharing. Points to Tony, hate the tax code, not the code breakers. Nuke Jeff, he attacked me and the chat in the same sentence, unreal. I will not be nuking you. It has to be for a good reason. And
I also never attacked the chat, so he's just making things up now.
Yeah, that's totally. I'm on your side on this. We will not be nuking Jeff. Points to Austin for calling out the fact that the government doesn't decrease spending. Points to Austin, a monopoly on force. Points to Austin for keeping the government accountable for a budget and not raise taxes. Points to Jeff, abolish property taxes. Points to Jeff for advocating for a sales tax on homes instead of leasing our homes from the government. Not sure that's what he said, but points to Tony for property valuations. CAD sent out valuations recently. Protest yours before May 15th. And Fitco verdict, repost the space. I appreciate that. If more people could do it, we would love that. Let's see what the scoreboard says. And Austin's still in the lead, 37-87. Tony just 87 points behind, 3,700. And Jeff went after Woodcraft, and so he's in third place, 3,500. So, but not bad, not bad. Could have been worse. All right, let's jump back into it here. Jeff, the question is to you. The category is war incentives and defense spending. Are defense budgets incentivized to grow?
Well, yeah, it goes back to one of the same topics we've been talking about, how the people that profit from it want it to continue. So I mentioned I ran against Michael McCall, who was one of the biggest profiteers off war in the history of the Congress. You know, he was one of the richest people ever in Congress because of just working out. He was head of the, Foreign Relations Committee and used that to make millions of dollars for himself. So, I mean, it could not be any more transparent, and that's obviously not the purpose of government.
That is true. Tony, to you, are taxpayers funding unnecessary conflicts?
I say this as a disabled veteran, 100%. It is funding an unnecessary conflict, especially right now. I've had my debate students, read the IG reports from Operation Inherent Resolve. Back when we hadn't quite officially gone into Syria yet, but we were there, and all the reports said, "Do not attack Iran. Do not attack Iran." The top military mind said, "Do not attack Iran. It is a no-win scenario. The topography, everything is just not feasible." But someone got a little too much attention from the Epstein files, so he decides to go ahead and attack Iran. As a veteran, I'm very proud that I served, but at the same time, right now, I'm telling a lot of my students, now's not the time to enlist. It really isn't, because you got a madman at the helm, and he's basically playing real life war games with your life. And if people really believe in that so much, they should have their children be the first ones to sign up and go to the front lines, because I've seen too much death and pain and misery to support this even remotely.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Sorry you went through that. Austin, to you. Is oversight strong enough to prevent waste?
Oversight is not strong enough to prevent waste. We need an actual budget in our government. Like, we need to have strict budgets. I think the military is a prime example. I would say almost every veteran I've met will tell you just how wasteful they can be. Like, at the end of the year, when their deadlines are up for their funding, they will just spend thousands, if not millions of dollars on things they don't necessarily need, just to make sure that they max it out so that they won't cut it next year. Because if they don't spend it all, then the government will decide, oh, we need to bring it back. That doesn't happen, but they're worried about that. But they want to make sure that they spend every cent so that they can bring it back next year. So oversight is not going to fix that, because anybody can dot their I's and T's and still spend more money than they should be spending. We should be reducing spending on all fronts, at state level, local level, and especially the national level.
Great answer. Jeff, back to you. The category is endless wars and political gain. Do politicians gain from staying at war?
Yes, because all these things we've been talking about that government does that it shouldn't do, you can justify continuing it when war is going on. You say, well, we can't do that right now because we're at war. So we have to, it's a crisis situation. It's an emergency, as was brought up earlier. There's always a reason, and there's always some conflict going on in the world. So if you're like, well, as soon as this dies down, we'll get out of it. They've been saying that my whole life and more than that. I mentioned I ran against Michael McCall, the Democrat in the race. Her foreign policy wasn't any different from his. So I was like the only one saying, hey, maybe we should actually not continue the forever wars, that maybe there's a different tack here. So it doesn't matter if you switch to the other party in majority, you're just going to get more of the same. You may think, the madman is in charge now, and I won't disagree with that. But the point is that they're just going to replace him with a different madman or madwoman who's going to be convinced by the same arguments to continue the war profiteering, continue everything.
Definitely. All right, Tony, to you. Are voters disconnected from war costs?
Are voters disconnected from war costs? I don't think they realize the scope and the magnitude of what goes into funding a war. They've been recently told that it's $1 billion a day. It depends on the situation, and if that keeps going on at the current rate, is if it goes like it did for Afghanistan, we spent trillions of dollars in Afghanistan and just left behind, billions of dollars worth of equipment. It's just such a total waste. Yes, I think the voters have a general idea of what war costs, but to actually sit down, look at the IG reports, Inspector General reports from all the different operations we have going on. We had Operation Inherent Resolve, Operation Atlantic Freedom. There's all these other ones that most people don't even know where are going on right now. And to figure out how much money is being, how many trillions of dollars is being sent on wars and military equipment in general, I think the average voter is disconnected from the reality of what's really there.
Definitely agree. All right. And I like to say $1 billion a day plus interest and inflation, because they can't even do a budget, right? So, Austin, to you, does media coverage influence war incentives?
Media coverage does influence war incentives, but in different ways, because media these days has gotten so politicized. So whether it's a Democrat or a Republican in office, there's Democrat and Republican news stations, and they just put their own spin on it. It's basically like an echo chamber of whatever politician's side you support. You're just going to watch their news coverage and get what you want to hear. And that really does just create a perpetual flux of continuing to be okay with whatever war is happening. If it's a Republican, all the Republicans are going to say, well, this war's fine because the Republican president says so. But it's the same thing when a Democrat is in office, because all the Democrats right now say, oh, this war is so horrible with Iran, but they weren't speaking up enough when Biden was in office or when Obama was in office. It doesn't matter because it was their person. So, yeah, I would say media is a major influence there.
Definitely. All right, Jeff, back to you. The category is local autonomy erosion. Are local decisions being overridden by higher authorities?
Yes, all the time. I mean, and again, I always have this habit of like breaking things down to, well, I used cheeseburgers earlier, but really cheeseburgers are important. I think we have this system where we say, okay, I'm going to send money 1,000 miles away because we've got this local problem. I'm going to hope that some of that money comes back eventually to my local area and deals with this problem rather than solve the problem right in front of me. But if you attempt to solve the problem right in front of you, somebody says, no, we got that taken care of. We've got a bunch of regulations on you for how you have to do that, and we already took your money, so you can't afford to do it. So it's this perpetual system where everybody just feeds into it, and then people are like, well, we have a local problem, but we can't solve it locally because we're being told by state government or federal government that we can't do it for all these various reasons. How about we let people in their local communities solve their own problems when they can? And if somebody from outside the community can help, that's great, voluntarily, not because somebody else took their money and sent it somewhere else.
Definitely. And you mentioned cheeseburgers again, so I'm hungry again. Tony, to you, does central control reduce accountability?
Most definitely. With central control, you can always blame the other person. If things don't work out, you can just say, well, I did my best, but the other people, they're the ones that made it not work. So yeah, definitely it practically eliminates all accountability. Even if they're the ones that came up with the idea, even if they're the ones that spearheaded the idea, if it doesn't work out, they could easily just simply dismiss it by saying, well, the other people were the reasons why it didn't work out. I did my part, they didn't do theirs.
Definitely. All right, Austin, to you. Should communities govern themselves more directly?
Definitely. Yeah, I think all government power should be local. Like there's just way too much going on at higher levels of government. The state has all its own rules and laws and taxes, and then the federal branches have their own laws, rules, and taxes. And yeah, the community should definitely be the ones that are really doing most of the governing. And even there are many local communities that overstep their boundaries as well. So I support the local community as far as like local should be an individual. Like the individual should be deciding how they want to govern themselves, as long as they're not negatively affecting other people and doing no harm to other people. People should be able to choose what they want to do, and their own local communities should be able to regulate that rather than these big government people in Austin or in Washington, D.C.
The district of corruption, as I like to say. Jeff, to you. Categories localism and agorism. Should communities rely less on centralized systems?
I mean, I would think so. Obviously, if a local community wants to pool their resources and to a point have a central way of doing that, I'm not opposed to that in theory and in practice, and if it's small enough. But as we know, the bigger that it becomes, the bigger the community gets, the harder it is to do that, and the harder it is to avoid somebody just deciding to seize those resources and use it for their own profit as opposed to the benefit of the people who went into it in the first place.
Definitely. Tony, to you. Do informal markets solve problems faster?
Oh yeah, that's been proven whenever there's been a catastrophe. People that have the gumption to go ahead and bring in a bunch of generators from one area that's totally flooded out from one area of the country to the other and charge double or even triple what they paid for it. That's telling the market right there, hey, this is where it needs to go. So usually those informal markets are the ones that basically tell the main market where the investments need to go. And by doing that, it allows, it basically, if you leave the system alone, it'll correct itself, plain and simple. It will control itself. Supply and demand works. I was reading a book called Socialism Sucks. And that all goes with centralized planning. The more centralized planning you have, in fact, here it is. Socialism Sucks. Good book, good read. It's by Robert Lawson. But yeah, definitely centralized planning doesn't work. Letting minimal involvement is basically all the government should do, just providing the cash and let the market decide for itself through supply and demand.
Bonus points for doing the reading the book prop there. Excellent. Austin, to you. Is self-sufficiency a path to resilience?
Yeah, I would definitely say self-sufficiency is an excellent path to resilience. And I am in agriculture, so that's why I'm running for the Commissioner of Agriculture. I've been in agriculture for a long time, and being sustainable means that you can take care of yourself. And that could mean on a budget, that can mean with growing your own food. But generally, you should just have the freedom to take care of yourself and be reliant on yourself rather than being reliant on the government just to sustain you. People should have the independence and the option to take care of themselves. And right now, we're just not able to do that because all the different laws and regulations in place.
Definitely. All right, back to you, Jeff. The category is technocratic governance. Do experts have too much influence over policy?
Experts, eh? I mean, this is a good question, but honestly, this is the first one where I feel like there's a little bit more nuance to it because it kind of depends on who the so-called experts are. And are the experts just people who have bought their expertise, or used power to get in those positions to have influence, or are they really the most knowledgeable people about whatever the subject is? But of course, it goes back to what we always say is that if we got rid of so much government power and let people have power in their individual areas, then you wouldn't basically have the ability for somebody who is the so-called expert to have that much power. People could get together and say, okay, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. Let's let him implement this solution, instead of just being told. No, he wrote in his thing into the 600 pages of, oh, let's just say Obamacare, just as an example. And you just have to trust us that we have to pass it before we find out what's in it, and then we'll know who profits from it.
Definitely. All right, Tony, to you. Are decisions being removed from voters?
That is a resounding yes. One of the things I do with my debate students is we play this game called Follow the Money. And what that entails is we go into the campaign finance reports of various candidates based off what they voted on. Like Dan Patrick, my opponent, is a good example of that. Most of his money, and the reason why he's against the legalization of cannabis, is because he gets total endorsements and thousands of dollars from the pain management companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the alcohol industry, the tobacco industry. He's getting money from all the people that stand to lose from the legalization of cannabis. So he's basically, if he's elected, he's taking that choice out of the voters' hands. So really, it's sad that we're in a situation like that, but so long as people keep voting for the two-party system, we're going to stay that way. So that's why I'm running. I really do, and I'll say it again, I just sincerely think I'm the best candidate for the job. And I think we need more libertarians in office to start making real changes and letting people make decisions for themselves.
I love it. I wasn't a very good high school student, so if I was in your class and we played Follow the Money, I would just guess the Trump family every time, and I feel like I'd do okay, and I'd get a passing grade.
Probably.
Excellent. All right, Austin, to you. Is expertise being used to justify control?
Yeah, I would say expertise can be used to justify adding control or regulation or rules by the government. A lot of the time they'll bring in just people that don't know what they're doing. And, expertise, there is legitimate expertise. There are people who really know what they're doing. Like I would say I'm an expert in agriculture, a little biased, but I think I would know what I was doing if I was running the agricultural department. But there are people that don't really know what they're doing. And, people like RFK Jr., who's running our health department right now. There's a lot of times where they will bring in, or they're very anti-expert, but in a way that can actually be harmful because they're just pushing rhetorics that aren't true in some cases. So there is a balance between true expertise and just calling people experts. But regardless, even if you have expertise, that doesn't mean that you should control what's going into your own body or how you decide to live your own life. So I think expertise, people themselves are experts on themselves. They know individually what's best for them, and they should be allowed to live their own lives without government control.
Nice. So you're saying that heroin addicts probably aren't experts. Is really what you said there. All right.
I mean, they might be experts on heroin.
I had to. Oh boy. All right. Jeff, to you. Oh no, wait. Enter scores. Now I'm laughing and I have to read the chat. That's going to be hard. Share this out again if you don't mind. All right. What's going on in the chat? Points to Jeff. The purpose of government is not to profit off of war. Is woodcraft just primitive Minecraft? Yeah, you do it with Lincoln logs, I'm pretty sure. Points to Tony, real vets hate war. Yep, love it. Points to Tony for making his students read war reports. That's cool too. Points to Tony, now isn't the time to enlist. My kids aren't dying for Israel. Points to Austin, government is designed to grow. Points to Jeff, the government does what it shouldn't do. Fantastic answers by all contestants on the topic of war. 100 to all. Points to Jeff, if we switch parties, you still get more of the same. That's true. Points to Anthony for the cat playhouse in the background. Actually, Tony was playing on that before the show. Points to Austin for the sunset background through your back window. Points to Jeff for the cheeseburgers. Jeff is the new McDonald's Hamburglar, 100 points. I love it. We need a mascot. So you are now the mascot.
Ryan has eased up on me, I believe, in this past round.
Don't wake up the beast there. Heartland News Feeds here. What's up, Heartland? We need less duopoly propagandists in the media and more Howard Beale types. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And points to the movie network. Points to Austin for going local. Points to Austin for individual liberty. Oh, Nate's here. What's up, Nate? You're here on X because you refused to sign into Google.
I give 100 points to Nate for refusing to sign in and knowing that Google is not his friend.
Yeah, Nate's awesome. Did a great job on the show too. Points to Tony for assigning homework. No, I'm against homework still. Points to Tony. Socialism sucks. Homework equals socialism. Let's just go with that. Points to Austin for freedom to be self-sustaining. Points to Jeff for putting expert in quotes. Jim's here. What's up, Jim? Can we have Austin as the ag commissioner for Florida? That would be awesome. Points to Jeff. Obamacare. Trust us, bro. Teaching students to follow the money. My kind of teacher. 100 to Tony. People who don't know what they're doing, or better known as the Trump administration. 100 points to Austin. And 100 points to anyone that says I'm the best dressed.
I'm the best dressed.
All right.
But I got the sport coat on.
Nate is the best dressed because I'm sure even though he's not on camera, he's still in full suit right now.
Yeah, he represents for sure. All right, let's check out the scoreboard. Austin still in the lead, still holding a slight lead, 46-87. Jeff 4600, Tony 4550. It's anybody's game. Wake up in the chat. Let's score these guys and see who wins. Let's do one more round here. All right. Jeff, to you, the category is energy grid incentives and reliability. Are energy policies driven more by politics than reliability?
Yes, and profits, as we talked about before, which of course is a big part of politics. Once again, it's about seizing control and the so-called experts. So people just kind of go, well, there's some magical thing in the sky that's giving me my power, and we trust them to know what they're doing. And then we have a winter like we did in 2021 in Texas, where we have rolling brownouts, and a lot of the state doesn't have power because of how it's been implemented.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Tony, to you. Is grid instability tied to regulatory decisions?
100% yes. My baby brother was a nuclear engineer for the Navy, and he is like I am. We're very staunch proponents for nuclear energy. It is the cleanest form of energy. It produces energy 95% of the time, but due to so many darn regulations, and it's all out of unnecessary fear, they're not being made. They're not being implemented. Nuclear reactors that we have now are over 40 years old. Modern day technology with the fifth gen nuclear reactors, they can actually take current nuclear waste and reduce it by 85% by taking power out of nuclear waste. So by building these new reactors, we'd have less nuclear waste, we'd have more energy and a more stable grid because it's reliant 95% of the time. So yes, I definitely think, yeah, it is. And socialism sucks.
Great way to sum it up. All right, Austin, to you. Would market-driven energy improve resilience?
Definitely. Market-driven energy is what's necessary to keep our growth going. So our economic and just human growth, especially in Texas, we have so many people coming in, and just the birth rates are so high. So we just have so many people here. And just a few years ago, we had such an unreliable grid that it shut down during a major freeze during 2011. They called it 2021 maybe, and they called it Snowvid because we were just out of COVID, but now we were all freezing to death because the government was inefficient and caused us to have all these shutdowns. if there was less regulation in the way and the government didn't have such a stronghold over our energy sector, there would be more innovation and more methods for people to get their energy in diverse ways to improve the resilience and sustainability of our growth, and just make sure that we're all keeping alive and well in this time of big growth. So we just need to get government out of the way.
Definitely. Jeff, to you, the category is infrastructure decisions driven by politics. Do large projects benefit contractors more than communities?
Without government, who would build the roads? The secret there, of course, is that it still is private companies that build the roads. They just do it for way more when the government is the one footing the bill, because again, they're using your money.
Definitely. For sure. Tony, to you. Is cost overruns a feature, not a bug?
Oh, it's definitely a feature. I live right off 35 as you entering San Antonio from coming in from Austin, and there's been construction going on there. Let's see, I'm 55 years old. I was born and raised here pretty much for about 45 years, nonstop construction. And it's by design. Like when they expanded Loop 1604, when they did it back in 1990, when they started it, they said we're going to widen it to 4 lanes, and I'm thinking, great, 4 lanes on each side, that's perfect. No, they did it 4 lanes total, 2 on each side. And it's like they don't factor in growth, they don't factor in any other things, and it's by design, because then they can get a new fresh contract and keep drawing it out. So yes, there is no incentive for them to have cost overruns, because like Jeff said, our tax dollars are going to cover it, whether it's done right or not.
Definitely. All right, Austin, to you. Should local communities control infrastructure decisions?
Yes, definitely. The local communities should have a lot more control about the infrastructure than government mandates. For instance, there was a problem when I lived in College Station in Brazos County, Texas, that they put in medians because the state said that we needed medians across every major road in town, and it came with so many problems, and it meant people could not go to the businesses that they wanted to go to. It held up emergency services. There were many instances that fire trucks and ambulances were not able to get where they were trying to go because the Texas Department of Transportation decided we need to have medians here for safety, but then it kept people from getting saved. So that was just another government idea that they're just checking boxes to say, oh, now it's safe, but they aren't making those decisions. The local communities didn't have enough input to help stop those decisions, and now they're still trying to fight it. But of course, that's just going to take more money to try to rip them all out. But they are agreeing. The local government is finally agreeing and saying, yeah, it wasn't really our idea. It was the state's idea. So yeah, I think all the infrastructure decisions should be driven by the free market and driven by local communities, local investors, and just have it privatized.
Great idea. All right, Jeff, to you. The category is education funding incentives. Does more funding guarantee better outcomes?
Oh, I went to public school and they spent billions on educating me. What do you think? No, it doesn't guarantee better outcomes, especially when you're wasting money because you're not focusing on what actually teaches people things that they need to know, instead of just running a government-run daycare. And the jury is out on our new system in Texas, where we have kind of a hybrid school choice voucher type program that's going into effect. Obviously, as libertarians, we go, well, it's better to have the government out of it, and it is, but this could be, if it's done right, a step in the right direction of people at least being okay with the concept of school choice. But obviously, we know, as we've talked about many times tonight, the people that profit off of things are going to try to find a way to make this, they don't want to give up their control. So there's going to be some tug of war there, but there's pros and cons, but I'm cautiously optimistic that somehow this will move us in the right direction of not just being like, oh, bar is above this line, therefore schools funded, so now good. And especially as ridiculous as Democrats, whereas that no matter what that was at, they would say that they needed more money because, oh yeah, it's that TEA again that Tony was talking about. Did you like that better, Ryan? I scratched my temple or whatever this is instead of my non-existent beard.
Pandering to Woodcraft. We'll see if that wins. Tony, to you. Are schools incentivized to improve results or secure budgets?
That's a very loaded question because the way they gauge the productivity through standardized testing is a joke. It really is. Some students just flat out don't care about those tests. They'll just show up, they'll put their head down, and then when you keep waking them up to do it, they get frustrated. They just start hitting C, 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 don't even do the essay, and then boom. So how's that an accurate metric for how well a school's doing? Basically, what we need to be allowed to do is to allow students to fail. If students aren't trying, aren't giving a darn about their education, I'm finding it frustrated as a teacher that I oftentimes care more about their education than they do. And yet we're told by our administrators, it's like, well, we can't have X number of students fail or else we lose funding. We have to have X number of students pass this test or we lose funding. And right now, the district that I'm at, they're operating at a $37 million deficit. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a $24 billion surplus in the Texas funds. Now, could that cover the cost? Yes. But it shouldn't have to, because there are a lot of reasons why that they're operating at a loss. Enrollment's down at some of these schools. There's also the fact that I have it down. The stagnation of funding. That is another thing too. The funds for each student haven't changed since 2019, even though inflation has gone up 30% since that time. The amount of dollars we spend per child is stayed the same since 2019. Not saying giving more money is going to fix the problem, but it does need to be adjusted for the current system right now. And but yeah, it's just a very complex question. I wish there was a simple answer for it, but ultimately, giving more money is not going to guarantee better results.
I filled out all the standardized tests as AC/DC over and over again, so I can relate to that. Austin, to you. Do funding formulas reward underperformance?
Yes, I would definitely say that they do reward underperformance. In agriculture field in particular, that's just what I know the most. But there's a lot of federal funding to fund things like ethanol production. And so the corn farmers across the U.S. lobby to these politicians and try to get more funding in the farm bill that will support their corn growing. And if it was up to the free market, we'd have a normal amount of corn, but we wouldn't have as much as we have now. It wouldn't be pushed as corn syrup. It wouldn't be pushed as ethanol because the market is not there. It's only because government picks and chooses who's going to win and lose. And that's the only reason some things are getting grown. But that's happening all across the board, not just in agriculture, but even in schools and through contracts, through building roads, things like that. Just all the time, government gets to pick who's going to win and who's going to lose. And who wins is usually the ones that are bringing them the most support to get reelected. So it's a major problem that we need to try to overcome.
Great answer. All right. Jeff, to you, the category is school choice and competition. Does competition improve school performance?
It certainly should. And like I said, we're going to see if our new system is going to help with that or not. Like I said, it's not entirely, non-government run. Obviously, the government still got its hands all in it, but we're hoping that we'll see some improvement in that area, and that'll actually be focused on teaching kids instead of just how much funding can we get for whatever it is we want to do.
Totally agree. All right. Tony, to you. Should parents decide where education funding goes?
I think the decision of educating child rests best in the hands of the parent because they know their child better than I do. I've written a lot of recommendation letters for students wanting to go to charter schools, wanting to go to private schools, simply because I know there they will get a better education than what they're getting in the public school. Not that the public school is doing bad; it's just that they're surrounded by an environment of, like I had mentioned before, there's quite a good number of students that just don't care, and it affects the others. At least within a private school, within a charter school, they're surrounded by other like-minded people that want to succeed, that want to excel, that want to achieve. And if that's what's best for the student, then so be it. If it puts me out of a job, I'm happy because I would rather a student get a good quality education than me to keep my job just for the sake of me having a job. Plain and simple.
All right. Austin, to you, is school choice the fastest path to reform?
Yes and no. School choice done correctly could be a great path to reforming our education system. However, in ways like Texas has done it, it's really not the best situation because it's very difficult. There's still a lot of hoops to jump through to get students out of school or to not take these standardized tests. There's a lot of regulation behind that, and it is difficult. And they also only gave out funding, these school vouchers that they had for students to go to different schools. That's something that they're trying to implement in Texas, but they ran out of vouchers. So a lot of students that wanted to be able to go try to do a private school or some different form of education weren't able to do so because they were kind of promised a voucher and didn't get that. But again, it's almost like another form of government handout. I think it's more like a rebate because we already paid our taxes. We just are trying to get our money back. But school choice, when done correctly, would be a great way to reform. But usually the government does not do things correctly. So even though Texas tried to do school choice, it's yet to be determined if it's actually succeeding or not.
Very true. All right. Back to you, Jeff. The category is incentives in public versus alternative education models. Do public systems resist innovation?
I don't know if they resist it for the sake of that, but again, it's just when you go back to the inefficiency of the system, you end up with what is the best way for us to maintain our system or maintain our funding rather than the best way to do it. And I don't mean to say that individual teachers are not trying to do that and bring in innovation. I know they try to do it when they can. It's just a lot of times the system doesn't allow for it. And to thinking about something that Tony said, I am not a teacher, but I feel like in my experience, most kids do want to learn. It's just if your system is set up in a way that doesn't factor in individual students at all, it tries to get them to conform to things like the tests and that have been referred to, then you're never going to really interest those kids enough to get them excited about learning. They have that capacity and really want to, but then they're basically sort of kind of shut down and forced to be drones in the system, and that just that doesn't end up well, even in the fundamental stuff. In my job, I see paperwork applications for jobs filled out all the time, and the quality of the ability just even to basically read and write on things like that has gone down. And these are people that are in most of the time high school graduates who can barely write, and that's something that's changed in my adult life. And so we've got to seriously look at what's causing that. And and try to find an actual solution to that rather than to fight about, oh, is this money going to this place or this place?
Definitely. Tony, to you. Do incentives differ between public and private models?
Yes. For one thing, private schools do not have to take the STAR test. If you're a charter or you're a public school, you have to take the STAR test. Private schools, they don't have to. They don't have that metric because they're privately funded. But as far as it's really complicated in saying that the innovation is not there, because for the last I've been teaching at the school for 7 years. We've had 5 different innovations that we've had to implement, and it's all done to geared towards that. I wish I could curse on this, but that damn test. I would say something more forceful, but it's that damn STAR test. And it's pathetic that so many things hang on the balance just over that one simple test. Some students may have a bad test day, and that may be the factor. Some students just don't test well. Some students may be brilliant, but they just don't test well. And either way, studies have shown that that's not an accurate metric for determining a child's potential. So it really is just a frustrating thing all around. TEA just needs to go away. Let the teachers decide, let the parents decide how best to educate the children, because what works in Dallas is not going to work in Houston. What works in Houston is not going to work in Austin. What works in Austin is not going to work in San Antonio. And like I said, even within my own district, what works at Wagner is not going to work at Veterans Memorial, and it's not going to work at Judson. So you got to figure out at the basic lowest level what works and go with it that way. Don't do centralized. The bigger the centralized planning is, the worse off things are getting.
Definitely. Austin, to you. Would removing barriers increase options?
Yes, definitely. Removing barriers almost always increases options. It increases your sustainability, because you just have other avenues that you can explore. And this is true not just for education, but for almost every aspect that the government is involved in, whether it's agriculture or schools or building developments, just whatever it is, just every aspect that the government has its finger in. They would have much more options if it was just opened up, if there wasn't so much red tape to have to cut. People shouldn't have to jump through a bunch of hoops before they're able to try things and try to be innovative. They shouldn't be stopped from trying to create the next big thing. And that's just one of the major issues of our government system as a whole, is they just stop us from innovating, stop us from doing what could make our society even better.
Definitely. All right, last 3 questions of the night. First to you, Jeff. Category is rural property rights and land control. Do federal policies disadvantage rural landowners?
I mean, the obvious answer is yes, just from what I know of the federal government. I'm sure Austin will have a much more detailed answer to this, because it's his area. But I mean, basically everything the federal government touches is inefficient and doesn't do what they say it's going to do. So it's just kind of a no-brainer that would be the case when it comes to rural landowners as well. And as he's mentioned earlier, just the fact that you've got federal policies telling people they can't grow what they want to grow on their own land, that in itself should tell you there's a problem with federal government regulation, because it's ought to be, do I own the land or not? If I do, I should be able to grow what I want to grow and sell it to whoever I want to. These are just things we seem like we would take for granted in America if it really was in fact a free country.
Yeah, right. All right, Tony, to you. Should land use decisions be made locally instead of federally?
Oh yes, most definitely. Because the local people know the history of the area. They know they've grown up knowing exactly what the circumstances are surrounding certain areas. person, and even a person in Austin doesn't know fully what's going on in, say, the Big Bend area of a certain particular region where maybe they want to put a wall up. They don't factor in wildlife. They don't factor in endangered species. They don't factor in how it's going to affect the flow of the river. And even though they say they have the best interests, it's kind of like the old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Even if the federal government has the best intentions involved, I have yet to see them do anything right. So, and I've told that to a socialist friend of mine, because she kept harping about how centralizing everything and having the government run everything would be, this perfect utopia. And I just looked her straight in the eye and said, can you name me one branch of the government that has done anything right? And she couldn't answer. So yeah, definitely getting it out of the hands of the federal government and letting local people decide, that's the way to go.
Definitely. All right, Austin, to you. Are environmental rules used to justify control over private land?
Yeah, so I actually know a lot about this because I'm an environmental consultant. So I actually use these rules to get myself paid, which is ironic because I don't agree with most of these rules. A lot of these rules are very restrictive on landowners, on their ability to do what they want, grow what they want, develop how they want. So there is a lot of problems with the way the rules are implemented. And I think it's important to save endangered species, and it's endangered to keep our air and water clean. But government is not the way to do that. These government regulations are inefficient, very expensive for the taxpayers and for any potential developers. And there's just a lot of private solutions that are doing much better. So for instance, like Nevada is mostly public land. So it's all ran by the government, and they choose what's going to get grazed and things like that. And it is some of the worst landscapes you can see. It is just horribly mismanaged. There's invasive species everywhere. But the government controls all that, and they're not fixing it. However, in Texas, it's 98% private land. And there are some amazing conservation efforts going on in Texas by people and nonprofits that just decided they wanted to do that. And they put their money, voluntarily put their money into conserving these lands and keeping it from development. And that's the way things should happen, on a voluntary basis. And the free market is going to provide those avenues if the government just got out of the way.
Excellent. All right. Enter your scores in the chat one last time. Tell us what you thought of the show. Tell us who you thought won. Let's jump into the chat one last time.
Don't forget to give me the maximum points.
There you go. All right. Woodcraft says, how does Jeff have a more boring background than Joe Hanoush? Minus 100. Joe at least has the vote for Joe Hanoush signs.
You should be thankful for my boring background, Ryan. I'm just going to say that because it could be much worse.
There we go. Dan says, I'm awake. Quit scheduling these things during the Devils games. The Devils are just playing for a draft pick, Dan. Just throwing that out there. 5,000 points to free if he goes in the dunk tank on Friday. Well, they raised money to get me to jump in a pool with Amity and Joe Jorgensen and Cassie up in North Carolina. So you got to set the bar a little higher than that. And I think it's before my show, so that'd be kind of gross. And I don't want Woodcraft's cooties either. Minus 100, Tony, for being a Packers fan. Some things are just unforgivable. I liked Tony before you pointed that out. Go Bears.
Well, no, that's actually my wife. My wife's a Packers fan, and she's also an owner. I'm a Cowboys fan through and through.
Oh, that's even.
Ryan is too scared of cooties to get in the dunk tank himself, so you won't have to worry about that.
Ooh, all right. Throw it out for Woodcraft to get in the tank. Points to Jeff for 0 props except the echo of an empty room. I like that. He'll do it, but only if we raise there $100. We could do better than that. There we go.
We can do that in Texas for sure. It'll be more than that.
There we go. All right. What time is the dunk tank?
Well, it runs from 4 until I think maybe 9.
I might do it after the show. Let's
yeah,
talk
there you
about
go.
it.
You can run out.
All
You
right.
do like Jim Courier when he won the Australian Open and then jumped in the river. You finish
There we
your
go.
show and then run, jump in the tank.
There we go. That would work. Somebody get Austin on the main stage in Abilene. Dude is crushing it. 100 points. Yeah, he's doing great. Lions fan here. F the Lions. That's kind of weird. And the Tigers too, by the way. Points to Jeff. F them OS roads. There we go. Points to Austin. Get the government out of the way. Points to Tony for the constant reminder that socialism sucks. No doubt. Boo to Ted Cruz for fleeing to Canada when Texas's power grid went to shit that winter. He actually went to Cancun. He went somewhere warmer. Points to Jeff for being the first Texas libertarian campaign I donated to. Best $10 I ever spent.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, he's spreading it out thin apparently. Points to Austin for going local again. Points to Austin, damn the state and their road mandates. Points to Austin, I hate those medians. Points to Austin, medians suck. Points to Austin, get the government out of the way. Jeff Miller and Vermin Supreme in 28 points. Minus 100 to anyone pandering to Ryan. That's fair. Pandering to Woodcraft, I'll allow it. 100 to Jeff. Points to Tony, standardized tests are BS. Points to Jeff, F them OS roads. I hope to never have to run against Tony for school board. 100 points. Oh my Lord, if Jeff drops here's Johnny, I wouldn't be surprised. Hashtag red rum. Austin isn't wearing his seatbelt. Damn the man. 50 points. Points to Austin, I hate corn lobbies. Points to Austin for the government chooses who wins and loses. Points to Tony, funding and greater importance over greater impotence over education. Current reading level averages prove it. Collar popped like a real gangster too. Another 50 to Austin. Jeff's right. Choice should improve school performance. Vote Libertarian School Board trustees. 100 points. Points to Tony for keeping education at the most local level possible. Oh, we have a dog sighting. Was it in time? Did he grab the dog in time is what I want to know. Points to Tony for making education over self more important. Respect. The fastest path to reform in Texas, abolish TEA. Points to Austin for diagnosing how the state got it wrong. Points to Tony for trying to keep the show PG-13, but minus 13 for censoring himself. Our school district just had a series of elementary pep rallies to pump up the students for STAR. The SBOE has to do better. Points to Tony. Points to Jeff for deferring to the expert on rural land, but still crush the government in the process. Yeah, it was a great answer. Points to Tony for keeping it local to close the show. Points to Tony for using a conversation with a socialist to prove centralizing everything is not the answer. Points to Austin, private solutions are better than government regulations. Points to Austin for being the expert and still pushing back on government role. Points to everyone for being awesome. No doubt, Nate. Dog sighting, 100 points to Tony. We got now 200 to Tony for the cute bupper. Let's see if those came in fast enough here.
I don't think Nate was here yet when Ryan was ragging on me hard, so I was definitely not pandering to Ryan.
That's true. That's true. All right, so let's check the score one last time. And Austin with the win, 62-53. Tony brought the pup out maybe a little too late, 61-37. And Woodcraft did major damage on Jeff, 54-03. Jeff, you came in third place. You went against Woodcraft. What do you think, man?
Well, there was a certain Discord server that I belong to that said that if I won this, I would have to stop telling people that I'm stupid. So, in your face.
There we go. All right, plug yourself.
I'd say that the question, are you smarter than a politician? I meant to say this, that I don't know if anyone else before has told you this, but my answer is no. I'm obviously not smarter than a politician, and we've proven that today. However, at least I hope that I am more entertaining than most politicians.
That is 100% correct. Plug yourself and your campaign, please.
Well, because we're about to have the convention in Abilene for LP Texas, I just want to once again encourage everybody to come out to Abilene. If you're not already going, if you're anywhere in the vicinity and have any way to get there, we're going to have a lot of fun. We've got a bunch of stuff going on outside and inside Friday night, including the live version of this show inside. And then we've got a big gala on Saturday night with a fundraiser and everything. So And if you can't make it, there are still ways to donate. If you go to 2026.lptexas.org, you can see how all the ways that you can help in not only making our convention as best as possible, but also for the future of the party and everything that we're trying to do from then, and help candidates like me. My website is vote-miller.org. And I promise I am working on that issues page to make it better, but you can at least take a look at it now. And yeah, I'll be around in lots of ways other than just this, and wear lots of hats, just like all the libertarians do. I look forward to everybody I see in Abilene and anyone else down the road. Thanks a lot for having me, and thanks everybody who supported me in the chat.
Awesome. And like Jeff said, his website is vote-miller.org, and you can find him on X at Real Jeffster, also on Facebook, and he's running for Texas House District 14. And he seems to be planning some shenanigans for me to get involved in. So this might be another one.
Always
is must see in Abilene. So if you can get yourself there, and we'll all have fun together. Awesome stuff. Tony, you came in second place. What did you think?
I had a lot of fun, and actually second place is better than what I thought I was going to do. But I really appreciate you having me on the show. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank the people that were giving me points. And if you want to make any campaign contributions, go to anthonycristo.com. And there's a link at the very bottom of the page. You can also read about my stances on the issues. It's quick and easy, and any campaign contribution would help tremendously, because right now this is a one-man show, and my credit cards are getting maxed out.
The libertarian way, for sure. And you can follow him on X at Anthony CRI17459. And his website is anthonycristo.com. And he's running for Texas Lieutenant Governor. Appreciate you being on, man. Good job tonight. The winner tonight, Austin Kelly. What did you think, Austin?
I thought this was such a great experience. I really enjoyed talking about all these different issues. I just really enjoy any opportunity to get these libertarian ideas out there, because not enough people know about what we're about and know that the government is the problem for almost every situation. So it's really great that you have this show, and I really appreciate you, and thank you to Tony and Jeff for also being on, and it was a great time.
Definitely. And plug your campaign and anything else.
Sure. Yeah. So please support me for the Texas Agricultural Commissioner candidate for the LP for Texas. I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to make it to Abilene. I really hope so, but hope to get elected there and or nominated there, I should say. And then I'm excited to be campaigning against the Republican and Democrat in the race. And I just want to give people a third party option for the Agricultural Commissioner. And I just would really appreciate your support. And you can reach me at kelly4tx.com. And it's also kelly4tx at all the socials. And my donation page is on there as well. And that would definitely help with getting my name out there to more people, so that we can spread libertarian ideas, not just for agriculture, but for across the board, just limiting government at every chance we can.
Definitely. And you can follow Austin on all the socials at Kelly4TX. His website is also Kelly4TX, and he is running for Agriculture Commissioner in Texas. Appreciate having you on. Congratulations on the win. And let's add Terry back in here. What'd you think tonight, Terry?
Like I said at the beginning of the show, before I even heard all this awesomeness, was Texas has it going on, you guys. I'm telling you, they're doing a great job out there. Congratulations to everybody. You did very, very well. And chat, you guys were great, and you did get it over 2175 right this second. So great job to you guys too. Sorry, I won't be in Abilene, but I will be there in spirit for sure. And I'll be behind the scenes helping out as usual. So great job, guys. I really did enjoy it. And I actually learned a couple of things. Not much. No, I'm kidding. I did. I learned. Good job.
All right. And you can follow me and Terry on X. I am at Smarter Game Show. She is Bats T76. Our swag is at freedomsuperstore.com. The shorts from this episode will be up on YouTube and Rumble at Freedom Uncut. And thank you again to our sponsor, Zoom Beyond Shrooms. That's zoomtrip.com. And like they mentioned, we will be in Abilene this weekend. Live show on Friday, April 10th through 12th. Then the following weekend in Colorado. And then wrapping up our tour of the state conventions in Grand Rapids at the National Convention, May 21st through 25th. Become a delegate, help shape the party. And we will also be at Freedom Fest, Las Vegas, July 8th through 11th. And use the discount code SPIKE100. Support Spike Cohen and You Are the Power by registering at freedomfest.com. We are really looking forward. We will be live on Friday night there as well. Thank you again to all of our subscribers. I found the right slide. The newest subscriber is Jonathan Miller. He's at Miller for NC Senate. He's running for the state Senate there. Follow him as well. If you want to subscribe to us, you can do so on X. And if you want to sponsor us, studio@freedomuncut.com is the email. Thank you so much to the chat. You guys were awesome tonight. We'll be live from Texas Friday night. Make sure you catch that. That's going to be such a blast. Maybe we'll live stream me jumping in some shit or something or whatever they got planned for me. And so it'll be a great time. So many friends there. I'm so excited about it. This will be a blast. I heard Texas does it right. I can't wait to experience it myself. And we'll catch you all Friday live. Join us then.